Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. So, I did a thing. I made a 60 card deck that doesn't even play grass. This is Adventure Prank Kids Spright. So, Adventure Spright was something I've already covered earlier this season, but I decided to throw in Prank Kids into the mix. And, well, okay, I didn't just decide spontaneously to do it. I do have to show you all something that I think is really, really cool. And the inspiration for this list is, if we pop on over to Master Duel Meta and look at the results for the China Master Duel Type of Weekly number 83. This is 143 players, 6-round best-of-1 Swiss into best-of-3 top 16. So this is like Challenger Cup size and format here. So this is effectively the equivalent of that they have in China. Well, this is the unofficial, I think, but... so in this Chinese Challenger Cup style tournament, it was actually won first place by this this 60 card Prank Kids Spright list, which is playing some pretty spicy stuff, such as the Exodius, which might look really weird, but this is actually to help you Mosquito OTK, because during the battle phase, this can send the Nimble Angler to summon out more monsters to battle with the Mosquito, which is really, really cool. It's playing the Arch Nemesis Escados, which you can search off of Nemesis Flag, which you can search off of Bonfire, which can also search Prank Kids Lampsies, which is really, really cool as well. So, yeah, this person was very, very, very much cooking when they came up with this list. So, that definitely gave me a lot of inspiration to then try out this, which is my take on Adventure Prank Kids Spright. It's a little more, I guess, streamlined is probably the word. I'm not playing as many weird cards as the person who won there. I did come very close to playing the Exodius, because I really do like OTKing with Shadow Mosquito, but I mean, I don't know. I want to say, like, oh, it feels really gimmicky, but that person won the tournament, so, like, is it? I mean, they have the results to back up their list, so I don't know. But, yeah, I pretty much just built the list the way that I would. The main difference that I very much expanded on the Nimble engine, which I tend to do when I play Sprights. Like, I see most people will be on a very minimal Nimble package. Like, I think this person played exactly, yeah, Beaver, Anger, and one Musabi. And, like, that's it. They played no other Nimble cards. Whereas I elected to go for the Sunfish and 2 Angler as well as the Beaver. I do like the playset of Sunfish because it also, like, I guess this is what I'm doing instead of, like, Exodios. Sunfish is kind of my way to help with Shadow Mosquito OTKs. And overall, I think is one of the better Nimble cards. In terms of, it's got 1,000 attack, which is higher than a lot of them. The effect, again, is relevant for OTKing. So I don't know, that's just my kind of take on it, but I will say that the expanded Nimble engine, like, yeah, I mean, sometimes you end up opening the Sunfish a little more often because you're on 3, but as I've always said with Spright, it's never really a bad thing to have a level 2 monster that you can just summon out. So, I mean, in that regard, it's never really dead even if you open it, right? Angler, I certainly don't mind playing multiple copies of, as I've pointed out multiple times. If you're on the Adventure engine, you can send Angler off the Fateful and then get the effect that way. So, I always say this, but I'm a little tempted to play 3 Angler for that reason, actually. Speaking of adventure stuff, we do include the Speedroid package here to help go into that via the Cherubni. It's actually really nice if you open Terratop plus literally any other monster. It doesn't even have to be a level 2. Any other monster will get you to a full Spright plus adventure board, thanks to the Cherubni sticking around as a link to help go into, like, Sprint, for example, and then dump off Angler and summon some level 2s, right? Or even if not that, going into an Elf and then making it, or just going straight into the Gigantic 2, of course, is another option there, so... Alright, so let's see, of course, Rite of Armistier being at 3 and Spright Jet being at 2 now are very, very helpful for this kind of archetype overall. Oh, let me talk a little bit about the Prank Kids, too, and what their role in this deck is. So, it might look a little weird to, 1, play Prank Kids at all, and 2, just to play them as such a light engine, but really, we're on 3 dropsies because it's level 2. 1 of all the other main deck prank kids because we really don't need to go into that many of them. In fact, I can probably just cut Fansies because most of the time you're just going to go into Roxy's and cycle a card out of your hand for another draw, right? The only prank kids extra deck stuff we're on is Meow Meow Moo and Doodle Doodle Doo. But basically the idea is, let's say you open Lampsies, right? You can normal summon Lampsies, go into Meow Meow Moo, Lampsies effect to get the Roxy's, link off Roxy's and Meow Meow Moo for Doodle Doodle Doo. You can get the draw cycle effect, and then you can summon out a Dropsies from your deck. So basically, with the Prank Kid package, your normal summon will get you a Link 2 plus a level 2, which, you know, as we've discussed many times, will let you go into any number of Spright stuff. You can go into again, you can go into Sprint, dump the Angler, and get more bodies. You can go into Gigantic and get blue if you want. You can go into Elf and pull something out of the graveyard. It's really just whatever you want to do from there on. So, of course, it's also why we play 2 Prank Kids Place, but also because it is searchable off of Doodle Doodle Doo. And even if you don't have a card in your hand that you want to banish to draw off of Roxy's, you could go Chain Link 1 Roxy's effect, Chain Link 2 Doodle Doodle Doo. So Doodle Doodle Doo will add the extra Prank Kids Place, which you won't need because you've already done Prank Kids Plays. And then Roxy's can then banish that place, and then you can draw a card. So, yeah, in that regard, it's not just setting up your board for Spright plays. You kind of get an extra card draw in there, too, by searching and then banishing the place for the Roxy's F. So, I think the list overall is pretty, like, it might seem weird at first, but once you understand what the Prank Kids are doing, especially if you're already familiar with Adventure Spright, the list is actually pretty self-explanatory. For the extra deck, I will say we're kind of tight on space there because we're playing the, you know, the Prank Kids and the Adventure stuff, so we have the Cherubney, and we're also playing the Melfi package on top of that. So that does eat quite a few extra deck slots by themselves. So I don't have room for like Downer Magician, which I would normally play, as well as maybe like Underworld Goddess, another good IP target. But really, we don't even need those that much in that regard. So there is that too. If you did want more extenders, you could play EMP Meow Mine. I elected not to because I'll be real, you already end up with enough bodies on the board with a deck like this that I really don't think you need the extender that often. But if you did want another extender, you could play Meow Mine, potentially cut like the Triple Tax or the Droplets or something, but I really do value having these cards, again, especially in a 60-card deck, just keeping your non-engine ratios up to make sure that you're still consistently opening cards like that, I think does end up being pretty important. So, okay, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about the deck itself. Let's break the list down card by card, and then we'll look at the games. We're on 3 Effect Veiler, 1 Prank Kids Fansies, 3 Nimble Sunfish, 3 Maxi, 2 Nimble Angler, 1 Nimble Beaver, 3 Prank Kids Dropsies, 1 Melfi Caddy, 2 Spright Blue, 2 Spright Jet, 2 Spright Red, 2 Spright Carrot, 1 Melfi Penny, 3 Speedroid Terratop, 1 Speedroid Takaton Borg, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Prank Kids Lampsies, 2 Water Enchantress of the Temple, 1 Prank Kids Roxy's, 1 Wandering Griffin Rider, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Foolish Burial, 2 Triple Tactics Talent, 3 Rite of Armistier, 1 Dracoback the Rideable Dragon, 2 Prank Kids Place, 1 Fateful Adventure, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Cross-Eye Designator, 2 Forbidden Droplet, 2 Spright Starter, 1 Spright Gamer Burst, and then 3 Infinite Impermanents. And that's going to be our 60-card main deck. For the extra, we're on 1 Herald of the Arclight, 1 Melfi of the Forest, 2 Gigantic Spright, 1 number 2 Ninja Shadow Mosquito, 1 Divine Arsenal Ah, Zeus, Sky Thunder, 1 Prank Kids Meow Meow Moo, 1 Cherubney Ebon Angel of the Burning Abyss, 1 Prank Kids Doodle Doodle Doo, 1 IP Masquerena, 2 Spright Elf, 1 Spright Sprind, 1 SP Little Knight, and then 1 Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax. That'll do it for the list. Let's see some games. Alright, so we're going to start off with this game here up against Tearlaments. I want to start with this game because it's a really good back and forth, if it's the game I'm thinking of. And it'll also show us establishing a turn 1 combo line utilizing the Prank Kid engine. So, yeah, you might see a hand like this and be like, okay, this is like Adventure Prank Kid stuff, but how does this go into a Spright board? Well, I mean, I did already explain it earlier, but we'll get to see that in action here. So, lead with Terratop, grab Tox on board, go into the Cherubini, Ebon Angel, the Burning Abyss. We're going to use that effect to send off the Water Enchantress. Don't really need to because I have the Rite of Armiseer in hand, but the Water Enchantress could potentially still bait an Ash Blossom or something similar. So, I wanted to try it out anyway. So, now here, okay. You might notice that I went for the summon before I went for the Griffin Rider, but also that I did not add the equip spell off of the Lampsey's normal summon. I actually waited on purpose, that way I could chain block the Lampsey's effect with the Fateful Adventure effect. That's actually a sort of strategy that harkens back to old Adventure Prank Kids from a couple of years ago, right? That's what you would do. You would start by activating Fateful, normaling the Prank Kid, don't use the effect, and then do it when you link, that way you can chain block against Ash. And also Gamma and potentially other effects as well. But yeah, being able to chain block your Prank Kids is such a good effect that back in the day, some Adventure Prank Kids decks played 2 Fateful Adventure just to open it a little more often, just to make sure that you could chain block your main combo line. Here, though, I'm going to throw down the Griffin Rider ASAP, and of course also equip the Draco back. Now I can link off the Meow Meow Moo and the Roxys in order to go for the Doodle Doodle Doo. Chainlink 1 Roxys, Chainlink 2 Doodle Doodle Doo. Although here, I think I'm going to actually keep the Prank Kids place and banish the Rite of Armiseer. Because I can always access my Adventure Engine later on a follow-up turn with the Fateful if I need to, but with place, I can search for Dropsies and have a level 2 monster to be able to make plays. But now we're going to go for the Sprint Dump Angler, and boom, we're off to the races and making our Spright plays. Going to overlay for Gigantic. You do need to put it in the extra monster zone here, because you don't want to clog up your board, but you'll have enough room to do all the stuff you need to, like summoning Blue for Jet, and then you can link off the Gigantic with the Nimble Sunfish, going for the Sprite Elf. After that, I believe we're going to overlay the Blue and the Dropsies for the, Melfi of the Forest, so we can rotate that in. And this is the cool thing too, right? Like, we started with, like, the Prankin stuff, and we get to access all of our engines here, including the Melfi stuff too. Like, it's not just, like, you play with whatever you happen to open. All of our engines lead into each other, which is, again, even the Adventure engine, if you open Terratop, which is, again, I think really, really cool. So we get to make the IP. I'll start it for Carrot. Throw down the Prank Kids place to add that Dropsies, like I mentioned. We can set 3, end phase summon the Caddy. I didn't even need to use Elf's Revival effect. And the other funny thing here is that I literally filled up every single zone I could, except for, like, you linking the opponent. But, like, that's how much stuff this deck gets to do on turn 1. Literally filling up your entire board and still having a card in hand. And all 3 of these back rows are very relevant, too, right? As, like, disruption tools. So opponent's going to lead with a board breaker, though, right away. Super Poly, pitching the Shaddoll Beast, fusing my Adventure Token and Melfi Caddy, which is actually pretty smart. Cuts me off from both of my Omnis to go for the Mud Dragon. I'm going to Elf, and they have another Super Poly! They even pitched Shivakarma! Oh, yeah, this was not ideal. I was a little surprised when they linked off their Mud Dragon, but it turns out they're going to go for the Dragostapelia, which I guess makes a little more sense, although to be fair, you could have eaten Elf and Carrot and gone for Garura, although also then I would get Elf's effect and still have a Carrot, or no, I wouldn't have a Carrot. I would get Elf's effect to summon back Jet, but I don't know. I can understand why my opponent went for Dragostapelia here, but I kind of feel like Garura would have been better. Well, no, because then I would still have IP. No, okay, so that actually makes a lot more sense. Never mind. Disregard, my opponent made the correct play. I'll get a Jet under the Elf to search for the starter. Now they're going to try to triple tack as well, but actually I'm going to use Cross Out here because I also play triple tack. They're going to chain the Trivikarma. I'm going to negate that with Carrot. Predictably, they're going to try to negate with Dragostapelia, but now I get to use Droplet, send the Crossout that's already on the chain link to negate the Dragostapelia. Not only do I negate Dragostapelia, but I actually put it at exactly 1350 attack, just weak enough to not battle over anything on my board, including the Sprite Elf. So that was really scary, our opponent having 2 super polys and triple attack, but we were actually able to play through all 3 of those board breakers here. But they're not done! The last card at hand is Foolish Burial, which is going to send the Tearlaments Cashiera to try to mill and get more plays. Meta Noise lets them add back the tier cash they just milled, and they're going to go to summon it here by banishing the Meta Noise in the yard. I'm just going to imperm this though. I don't want to give them the opportunity to mill more stuff, so we're just going to imperm here, and that's going to be the end of what our opponent can do, finally. Battle phase, you do get to run over the elf, and we do have to be mindful of Dragostapelia. Oh yeah, that's right. No, we don't have to, actually, because we're going to link off for the Little Knight instead. Which is fine. I think honestly, I would have had a harder time playing through Tier Cash plus Dragostapelia than the Little Knight by itself. Because I already have the Fateful Adventure up, so... but I can understand why my opponent did this all the same. That was the other cool part of our combo line too in our plays, is that we got to add, not only set up our board, but we also added follow-up plays in the form of Dropsies plus starter. I like getting Jet more than Blue a lot of the time to add the starter for follow-up plays, because that's of course plays by itself. So I'm just going to battle first, even though I'm not going to be able to OTK. I can get this SP Little Knight off the board. Still during battle, I can actually start it for blue, blue for red, and then battle with the blue. Main phase 2 will special the red, normal the Dropsies, link off blue and Dropsies for Spright Elf. I did actually forget to use Elf's effects before passing to my opponent, but it kind of doesn't really matter because our opponent is in total top deck mode. Nothing they currently have in their graveyard can help them activate any effects, and we have red plus carrot, so that's already monster and spell trap negate. But also, if my opponent summons a monster during their turn, I can elf to bring back IP and then still go into SP. Can't make Avermax. Avermax has to be monster summoned from the extra, but you can still make SP. But yeah, they don't want to play through that, so... Whew, wow, what a duel. Yeah, like I said, I wanted to show you how you can go into plays with stuff like Terratop and any random Prank Kids monster, but more than that, we did also demonstrate playing through literally 3 back-to-back board breakers, followed by a Foolish Burial from Tier. Very, very scary stuff, but we persevered. Anyway, let's check out this next game. Okay, for this one, we're going to be playing against Rescue Ace, which has pretty consistently proven, in my opinion, to continue to be the second best deck of the format, behind Fire King Snake Eye. I do think Pure Snake Eye is below. I think Pure Snake Eye might just be a tier 2 deck. I'm not going to lie to you all. I want to do a little more testing and try to evaluate that. But anyway, this isn't about Snake Eye. It's about Spright. We lead with Terratop and a bunch of Spright stuff here. No Prank Kids, but again, we don't really need Prank Kids like in our opening hand, because we don't do... Like, we're not making a Battle Butler, right? We're not doing Prank Kids specific plays. We're just using them as an engine. So it's totally fine if you don't open Prank Kids stuff. But then, if you don't open Prank Kids stuff and top deck it, you can still use any one Prank Kids card to immediately go into a follow-up play too, which is, of course, very, very nice. But yeah, like I said here, I'm just setting up some adventure stuff and then doing Spright plays. If you've seen my Adventure Spright videos, you've seen lines like this 100 times. I think Adventure Spright as a whole is being criminally slept on right now. I know, I'm the Spright main, so of course I would say something like that. But really, if you think about it, right? With Rite of Armiseer at 3 and Jet at 2, that alone has given this version of this deck enough of a boost to, like, I think be a valid, like, mid to upper rogue deck. It's just one of those cases where it's like a lot of decks where it's got the power level, it just doesn't have any representation. Like, sometimes people will assume, oh, this deck is bad because nobody's playing it. But really the answer is just the deck is fine, it's just that nobody's playing it, right? Especially in Master Duel, where so many decks are so readily available, right? And also where a lot of them are so viable. You know, a lot of people kind of shit talk the best of one format, but one thing I don't see people say about it is that it does give a lot more decks than just the usual, what you would expect to see the top 5 best decks in the meta. It gives a lot of different decks the opportunity to shine. And especially in the Master Duel meta we're in right now, I still see people very disingenuously saying, like, oh, it's a fire format, but, like, I mean, yeah, Fire King, Snake Eye, and Rescue Ace are still the best decks, but They're not nearly as oppressive as pure Snake Eye was before the limits, and certainly not as much as pure Snake Eye is in like the TCG, for example. Don't let anyone tell you we're in a tier 0 format in Master Duel. It's just not true. Not right now. Anyway, we get to make the Herald of the Arclight here, setting up our last Omni Negate, on top of course, the Griffin Rider here as well. Opponent's going to link off into Linkuriboh, placing the Poplar into the Spell Trap, before pivoting over to the original Sin, sending that Poplar. I'm going to negate that with the Griffin Rider, not only because I think it's a good card to negate here, but also just to free up some board space. More than anything else, and be able to potentially go into some of these other cards off of like Elf or Starter maybe. So speaking of which, I'm going to Elf for Cherubini now. The main reason I did that was to be able to negate and destroy with red, but if my opponent wants to call by here, that's completely fine, because I can still negate and destroy with red by sending the Elf that I've now already used, right? They don't even activate Hydrant though, they just link off into Hita the Fire Charmer Ablaze, which I think what they wanted me to do here was negate and destroy it so they could search, but what I'm going to do is I'll just IP into SP Little Knight and just banish the Hita and get rid of it that way. And they're just going to concede here, yeah, because I still have the red for a monster negate. I still have the SP dodge. I can also, what I was going to do before my opponent conceded is I had a starter set. So what I could have done is Little Knight, banish Hita, starter, flip up Carrot. Now I have a live red and Carrot, and SP still has her banish effect. And I still have the Herald of the Arclight for another Omni. That's what I'm talking about. Like, this deck, like, the boards that it can make and how easily it can make them are just absolutely ridiculous. Just negates for days, like, endless negates. I think we have time for one more duel. Yep, we'll see this next game here. Alright, and our last opponent's going to be on Tearlaments again, but unlike our first duel, where that person was on, like, a pure Tearlament deck, so to speak, this person is playing Horus, as well as a Synchro package with Rev Synchron, which is, I think, the more fun way to play Tier. But I do acknowledge that pure Tier is, like, definitely probably just more consistent. So they get to lead with Fenrir to add Tier Cash. We're going second with no hand traps here, so yeah, the other two games showed off us, you know, kicking a lot of ass on turn 1, but let's see what we can do on turn 2 here. Although, to be fair, it doesn't look like our opponent has, like, the most robust plays. Yeah, they're just going for IP, Tier Cash, and that's all they really have. Oh, I saw the Fateful there. I forgot this person's also playing Adventure, which I also think is pretty cool. So, I'm going to normal summon this Angler, and then they're going to immediately go for SP, which makes a lot of sense. You see a random level 2 hit the board, especially a Nimble Monster, it's probably just Spright. But thankfully for me here, I'm going to go for the starter. Now, you'll notice I started for red. I would have loved to have started for Jet, but honestly, if I had done that and then activated the effects, my opponent could have chained their SP Little Knight, and then that would have banished both it and the Jet. Jet could add starter, sure, but I wouldn't be able to starter because I've already used it, and the only other spell and trap that I have for them to add is Gamma Burst. So what I'm going to do is instead, yeah, summon the red. That way I can special the Carrot, then the blue, and activate that effect. Now, even if my opponent banishes with Little Knight, I can still add Jet and then special it, and then Jet for Gamma Burst to make OTKing trivially easy here. I do really like playing the Gamma Burst. Like, it's funny, I don't think you really need Spright Smashers anymore, because SP Little Knight is effectively a much better Spright Smashers. But I do still really like playing Gamma Burst, because I will say, sometimes you'll end up with a board of random, you know, 2s, and having the ability to OTK that much more easily with them, I think is pretty valuable, especially in a 60-card deck like this. But the main reason I'm talking about this with the game pause is that I'm pretty sure yet my opponent just concedes right away here. So, I mean, that's kind of the thing with going second with a deck like this. If you're not gonna open, like, a bunch of hand traps, or at least an amount of hand traps, then you probably open a lot of gas and just have the ability to make a lot of plays anyway. Although, in all fairness, all our opponent really had was the one SP to contend with. But, I don't know. Let's see. Like, if they'd had Roll Close, yeah, they could have negated the starter. That would have been pretty bad. Winda, if they'd made that, would have been pretty bad. But that's the thing with Tearlaments, right? Even if they make Kick Close, they're not necessarily guaranteed to also then be able to make Roll Close. So, it would have been super hand dependent. Like, our opponent just happened to not have the greatest hand in the world here. Although, to be fair, if I if they had gone into a play with Wokeless, they probably wouldn't have ended on IP at all. And then normal summon Angler, special carrot might have gotten there. Who knows? Anyway, there were a number of ways that game could have played out, but we did manage to take the W. So I think that's what's most important, right? But yeah, thank you so very much for watching these duels. Especially with such a cool deck that I had such a blast playing. Very, very good stuff. Let's just go ahead and move now to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's again free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, but more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.